Yes.
Here we go. I'm helping you out with the panelist.
I'm this here.
يا أهلا وسهلا بالجميع.
Hi, Alan and everyone. أهلا وسهلا فيكم اليوم بويبرنا الثاني في موضوع جدا مهم نادرا وما تناولناه مع زميلاتي فرح رضوان وإسلام كافي. And my colleague Salman will be with me also translating the English. كمان أنا حساعدكم بالعربي لأنه this webinar will be in English and Arabic. So welcome everyone.
Yes, everyone, just wanted to repeat that for all of us that are speaking in English. My name is Salman Amjad. It's my pleasure to join Alia, my colleague, in welcoming you to our webinar this evening. With us tonight, we're privileged to have two of the only academic certified coaches in the kingdom. We have Dr. Farah Radwan and Islam Kafi. And so I know this is going to be an excellent experience for all of us, and look forward to all of our participation this evening as we come together and learn together.
Yes. So our webinar اليوم راح يكون عن تأثير الكوتشنج بالمجال الأكاديمي. The impact of coaching in academia. Coach Islam is a professional certified coach who has a special interest in academic coaching. Her background in communications and teaching has allowed her to enjoy the transition into her current role as a coach, trainer, and associate. Her real passion is working toward the development of academic leaders by introducing them to coaching and the immeasurable impact that coaching can have on students. Coach Islam was the first certified academic coach in the region. Also, as for sure, she looks so familiar for you because she is the Director of Knowledge and Community in our ICF Saudi Chapter. Hi, Islam. Dr. Farah Radwan is an assistant professor of chemistry and an ICF Associate Certified Coach. She has been working in the field of academia for the past 15 years and found her true passion in coaching. Her mission is to bring coaching to the education sector at both secondary and higher education levels. Dr. Farah is a certified academic life coach and Marshall Smith executive and teams coach. She is also a certified trainer for the 555 Coaching Skills Training Program, and she is the Vice President of the ICF Saudi Arabia Chapter.
Thank you, Alia, so much. We're extremely happy to be here today.
Such a warm welcome. Thank you so much.
Okay, so أهلا وسهلا فيكم جميعا. راح يكون الويبينار اليوم راح نبدل بين العربي والإنجليش، بحيث إنه يكون للجميع فرصة إنه يشارك معنا ويستفيد من الويبينار اليوم. حابة أبدأ بسؤال. يعني إحنا كتير سعداء بوجودكم معنا اليوم. إيش الأشياء اللي حابين تطلعوا فيها من حضوركم معنا اليوم؟ So just to say that in English, I'm extremely excited. Me and Islam are extremely excited to be here today. And we'd like to start off with asking, you know, what brings you here today? We're happy that you're here, but what would you like to get out of this experience with us today? If you can write this in the chat or even let us know, that will be great.
Feel free to turn on your camera and your microphone. We'd love to see you and hear you as well. We'd like to share that way.
طبعا بس بنحب ننوه انه الويبينار عم يتسجل لغرض الفائدة، ورح ينعرض ان شاء الله على قناتنا باليوتيوب.
What would you like us to talk about today? What type of information you look to having today? Do you have any questions for us or in general about coaching in academia? Okay, we start having some questions.
Yes, في كوتش عبد الله عم يقول أود أن أتحدث عن نماذج الكوتشنج. في عصام بيقول باحث دكتوراه في المجال الكوتشنج الأكاديمي.
عصام باحث دكتوراه في مجال الكوتشنج الأكاديمي. ما بعرف بتحب يعني تحكي لنا شوي عن نفسك، لأنه مجال الدكتوراه في مجال الكوتشنج الأكاديمي is very interesting.
So there's a question from Rasha about wanting to know more about the coaching business in the Saudi market. Could you elaborate on that, Islam?
Sure. We're just, Farah just posed a question to, yep. Sorry. Is it Isam?
Yes.
Okay. Is he?
By the way, in Australia actually, عصام شكرا انك حضرت معنا مع انه الوقت متاخر عندك بالليل، فاذا بتحب تشاركنا ومثل ما تتفضل، تحب اذا بتحكي او تحب تكتب.
اوكي، لا يستطيع المشاركه. تمام. نعم، نشكر مشاركتك اكيد وحضورك معنا في هذا الوقت متاخر. Okay, so I guess we will address some of that a little later. But what is the Saudi chapter can offer for coaching? Was that your question, Salman?
That's another question, but it was a question about just knowing more about coaching business in the Saudi market. Well, so maybe how academic coaching fits into the coaching business in the Saudi market.
Okay, well, if it is specific to coaching, academic coaching within the Saudi market, well, it is extremely about to take off, hopefully, with more awareness. When more people learn about the benefits of integrating coaching into academia, hopefully we'll have more coaches like you who are willing to focus their energies in this area. We believe it's there's so much potential in there to grow and learn as coaches and to offer our clients to grow and learn as well.
Actually في أسئلة شوي طالعة عن الموضوع، يا ريت بس نلتزم بضمن الموضوع، وأي أسئلة أنتم محتاجينها بالنسبة للاعتماد بالاي سي اف كوتش لميس أو شيء، ممكن تتواصلي معي عن طريق الواتساب اللي أنا حطيته وقنواتنا بالسوشيال ميديا. في معنا سعاد الصباحي is raising their hand.
تفضلي سعاد.
السلام عليكم جميعا.
عليكم السلام.
سعاد الصباحي، أنا dentist و medical educator و ICF Transformative Coach. شدني صراحة الموضوع لما قريت عن الكوتشنج في الأكاديميا. being a medical educator دائما يعني I'm passionate و interested في كل ما له علاقة بالactive learning، بالstudent engagement، بالconstructivism. فأول ما سمعت coaching في المجال الأكاديمي اتحمست كثير إني أنا أعرف أكثر عن الموضوع. أنا ما أشتغل في المجال الأكاديمي، أشتغل في وزارة الصحة، لكن عندنا a lot of training ويعني postgraduate programs undergraduate programs بيكون الجزء حق التدريب الصحي فيها يتم في الانستيتيوت. جدا متحمسة أعرف أكثر عن الكوتشنج في المجال الأكاديمي، يمكن لأنه نسمع أكثر عن الإرشاد الأكاديمي اللي هو يعني فيه له نوع من التوجيه أكثر من الكوتشنج ومن كلمة كوتشنج. فهذا اللي خلاني يعني أكون معاكم اليوم، وأتمنى إنه أعرف أكثر عن المجال، كيف إمكانية تطبيقه في الجامعات وحتى في التريننج بشكل عام.
شكرا سعاد لمشاركتك.
Thank you.
Just to recap real quickly her question, Saad's question, she's interested in how to apply, coaching in academia, and she's thinking more of how is it different or similar to academic advising. فللإجابة يعني على هذا السؤال، هذا أكيد رح نتعمق في هذا السؤال سعاد لما ندخل في conversation عن coaching، بس it's a very great point. يعني how is it different, how is it similar, how can each of these professions يعني help out the student and so forth. Very good point. يعطيك العافية. Do we have any other questions before we dive in?
في عنا عبد الإله عم يسأل ما هي النماذج المعتمدة لممارسة الكوتشنج؟
النماذج يعني فيها أنواع الكوتشنج المختلفة. ماذا إيش يعني بالنماذج؟
ممكن تشرح إذا بتحب إنك تحكي كوتش عبد الإله، تفضل.
السلام عليكم، مساء الخير.
عليكم السلام، أهلا وسهلا.
الله يحييك، أشكركم على هذا اللقاء. أود أنا يعني دوبني داخل على ممارس في الكوتشنج ومهتم وقارئ ومطلع على كثير من هذه. سؤالي، هل في نماذج لبدء جلسة مع العميل؟ شكرا.
نماذج يعني فورمز؟
نماذج إيه؟
اوكي، يعني مشان تبدا جلسه كوتشنج هل هناك نماذج محدده يعني فورمز تعبيها؟
صحيح.
اوكي، اكيد we will also address that. رح نحكي عن هذا الموضوع كمان. شكرا لسؤالك كوتش عبد الإله.
يمكن بيقصد assessments، فراح يمكن ما
تقييم المقصود في النماذج، ولا يعني للجلسه مثلا contract أو ممكن questionnaire؟
بوث، كل الاثنين.
أوكي، النماذج كلها تبع اللي لها علاقة بالكوتشنج. تمام، يعطيك العافية. أوكي، شكرا جزيلا لكل الأسئلة والنقاط الجميلة اللي شاركتونا فيها. Islam, I would like to ask you, what brought you here today?
What brought me here today?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you're asking me the same question that you were asking the group. Well, I'm hoping that we can shine a light on an area that I feel is, I want to use the word underserved in coaching. Unfortunately, it's often overlooked. I meet coaches here in the region who are focused in different areas, whether it's executive or wellness, whatever it is, but you never really meet people who are focused on, coaching in academia. And I feel it is vital, and I'm hoping that we can get the message out there about its role and its impact and its importance, actually. So that's why I'm here. That's my hope.
Okay. And I agree with you. I agree with you.
Why are you here, Farah?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. السؤال اللي سألناكم إيش الأشياء اللي حابين تعرفوها بوجودكم هون؟ ليش أنتم اليوم هون معنا؟ وحبينا نشارككم إحنا ليش هون اليوم. كتير مهم بالنسبة لنا إنه القطاع التعليم له تأثير كتير كبير في يعني رحلة كل طالب، وبيأثر فيه مش بس في مرحلة التعليم. الإشي اللي ممكن يتشكل خلال مرحلة التعليم بيحدد كثير من هوية الطلاب والطالبات لما يطلعوا في القطاعات المهنية، في العمل، في علاقاتهم ما بعد المدرسة أو الجامعة. فكتير مهم إنه نعرف إنه الفترة التعليمية من حياة الأشخاص هي فترة انتقالية، بتعرفوا فيها على نفسهم، بيحددوا فيها هويتهم. فما بنفع نختصر قطاع التعليم بإنه فقط إدلاء بمعلومة أو معرفة معلومة معينة، هو تشكيل هوية، يعني برضه تطوير مهارات وقدرات. الأشخاص بتعرفوا على نفسهم أكثر، بيعرفوا وين نقاط القوة وين نقاط التحسين. فحبينا إنه يعني نسلط الضوء على هاي المرحلة، سواء كانت مدرسية بنتقلوا فيها للجامعة أو جامعية بنتقلوا فيها للحياة المهنية، لأنها يعني مش بس مجرد مادة عم نتعلمها أو تخصص قاعدين عم نخلصه، مع كل الاحترام طبعا لمهنة التدريس اللي إحنا منها والدور وأهمية التعليم والتدريس طبعا في هذه المرحلة. ولكن إيش الكوتشنج ممكن يضيف؟ إيش ممكن يحسن؟ كيف ممكن إنه يعني نوحد بين الكوتشنج والتعليم بطريقة إنه البرودكت اللي يطلع عنا يكون إشي يعني unstoppable، يعني لا يمكن إيقافه بتحقيق الأحلام من شخص أو يعني سعيه وراء شغفه أو إنه يحقق أي شيء بده إياه من ضمن خططه. فلهذا السبب إحنا هون، لأنه شاعرين إنه ممكن إحنا نقدم إشي جديد، نحكي عن قطاع مش كثير مسلط عليه الضوء بالنسبة للكوتشنج، على الأقل في منطقتنا.
I have another question for you, Farah, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So we all know why we're here and we all know what we're hoping to get out of this. But how did you get here? How did you get into academic coaching?
I got into academic coaching because I lost my passion. You know, I teach and I go and give my lecture and I interact with my students and I grade the papers and I'm done. And I really lost my passion because this is not what I signed up for when I became a teacher. I wanted more. There were a lot of people as part of my journey as educators that made me who I am today and helped me overcome a lot of obstacles and helped me figure out who I am. And I believe in that role. Now, they may have not called it coaching, but they've done a lot of coaching, you know, when they were helping me out. And I want to be that person to someone else. I want to be that effect in students' lives. And I believe that that's what I wanted to do in the first place. So bringing coaching is just doing what I always wanted to do, but maybe now it has a name and it has a process.
Nice.
And that's what I would like to bring in to teachers who has lost their passion or got in a routine that they didn't sign up for it to begin with. And what got you interested, Islam?
Well, like you, I was a former educator. I know you're still currently an educator, but my last teaching job, I was teaching elementary, and it was 5th grade. And so when I see these beautiful 5th graders moving on to middle school, and then I find that even though they're academically strong and they should be doing well, I found that they did not have the soft skills that they needed to thrive in a middle school environment. So whether it's self-advocacy skills or communication skills, or even, you know, time management, just the soft skills that actually we need as adults. We all work with people who, you know, you think about them and you say, wow, they don't have soft skills. Sometimes that happens. And the beauty of coaching is that these skills, these soft skills are teachable. You can 100% introduce these skills and watch your students actually take them on and transform. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So that's how I transitioned into coaching from teaching, because I just felt like we weren't doing enough to bridge the gaps. It's one thing to be academically strong, but it's another thing to feel strong. And if the pandemic taught us anything, it taught us that students and adults, all of us, we need to learn how to cope. We need to learn how to pivot. We need to learn how to manage and regulate. And I believe that coaching offers all of that. So I'm happy to be somebody who can give that message to students. And I feel like it's more valuable than teaching them, you know, math or something else at this point, because there are other people who are way more qualified than I am to do that. So I just felt like this is where I needed to be. That was my passion and my calling. Okay. So can we share some quotes of some of the people? Of course, we have their permission. We'd like to share some quotes with you that are from real people that we worked with in our practice. I'm just going to go ahead and pull them up. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to invite you to please, since we're all coaches, okay, I want you to try and sort of put yourself in the person's shoes. I will read the quote to you, and we will also read you the person's title and role, or name and title, and try to sort of feel what they might be feeling, okay? These are actual quotes from people we work with. 1 second. All right. Can you all see my screen? Farah, can you guys see that?
I can see it.
Okay. So here's one quote from Tala, age 13. I want to ask my teachers for help, but I don't know how. And I want you to just think about these and reflect. As a coach, how would you address each of these comments? I want to ask my teachers for help, but I don't know how. Okay. Between my work and family demands, there are not enough hours in the day to properly support my children through their learning. I'm too busy supporting other kids. This was from Diana, who's a teacher who's working from home and the mother of 2 elementary school kids. Okay.
Being expected to sit in front of a screen for 8 hours a day has affected my ability to enjoy my family and friends. I barely have time for myself. This was Omar, age 15. Oh, that's mine. Okay. How do I come across as being approachable and supportive to give my students, to my students, while still holding them accountable?
I did have Farah's permission before I shared this, by the way.
Yes,
Just okay. Naveen, a high school teacher. How do I motivate my students?
And how do I motivate my staff? That's a department head.
And the funny thing is they work in the same school. So I thought that was interesting. And that's by Ryan, who's a teacher. Ryan. I wonder if teaching will become obsolete.
At this point, if you get a chance to look at the codes and read them, we'd like to reflect on if any of them spoke to you, if you have any opinion about any of the codes, any similar experience, do you identify with any of them? You can share in the chat, or if it reminds you of a story that you'd like to share, unmute yourself and we'll be happy to hear from you.
So can I share?
Sure.
Please.
So the first quote, Islam, if you can go to, and that resonated because it reminded me in my childhood, it was hard for me to ask for help, and it remained throughout my academic years. Because at a young age, when I asked for help, I was ashamed by my teacher. And since then, it just made me feel that, oh, if I ask for help and I ask for to be, to have something explained to me, I might appear stupid. So I don't want to ask for help. I don't want to speak up. So yeah, that one have resonated.
Wow. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Reem.
Have you tried, did you have a past experience with a teacher, or it was just your assumption at that point? Just your feeling?
No, I was actually ashamed in front of the class when I asked for help, in a very bad way.
Yeah.
What do you think the teacher could have done at that point? Like, what would have made it easy for you to ask for the help?
For a start, I wouldn't be slapped. That's one. At the second is just to be patient with me and something. I asked for something that my brain just couldn't understand, and I kept asking the same question, but I couldn't understand. Please explain further. But she was frustrated soon enough, and yeah.
I'm sorry for your experience, Reem. That's terrible.
Well, we grow.
And now you're a coach, so.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think Saad raised her hand. Thank you, Reem.
Also.
تفضلي سعاد.
أنا يمكن لفت نظري نفس العبارة اللي تكلمت عنها ريم. برضو I was thinking about when you ask for help, or when somebody is asking for help, how we understand this. Is it mean that we will offer help in form of actions? We will do it and instead of letting him do it. Maybe that's why we have this idea about help. If I ask for help, that means that I cannot do it and I need somebody to do it for me. If this is the meaning, yes, then it should be ashamed. And it will directly, it will give a message that I am weak, I cannot get things done, I have a problem. In a way or another, I have a problem. But what makes the aha moment for me here from this is that, yes, this is what coaching meant to do. Yes, this is the difference between coaching and between other type of helping or advisor or mentoring or counseling or whatever we do. Yes, this is coaching, offering help, but letting the person, enabling the person to do it himself. So when we ask for help, we can confidently ask for help, because at the end of the day, I know that I am the one who will get the things done, not those who is helping me.
Thank you, Saad. So yes, we are looking to empower our students. So Reem shared what she shared, but I have to ask, Reem, as an adult, how do you feel? What's your relationship to asking for help now?
It took me a lot of effort to overcome and be able. And until this day, I do realize, and I'm aware of myself, that sometimes I am holding myself back from asking help. It just takes me an effort to step forward and ask for the help.
And I think that goes along with what Saad just mentioned. you know, you want to disassociate or detach from this idea of having shame when asking for a question. And actually, it should be very empowering that you're in control of your own learning and you know when you need help and you should be able to ask. Again, it's that self-advocacy. And the beautiful thing about academic coaching is that it is not an intervention. So we are not just working with kids who are struggling or who don't know how to ask for help, who might not be doing well academically. Academic coaching is for everybody, you know? So thank you so much, Saad and Reem.
I also see Mazen, you have your hand up. Tfaddal, Mazen.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me in. Though I'm not a coach yet, but I am on the process, inshallah. So thank you for accepting me to join you this evening. What I identify myself with is the coach with motivation, how to motivate my students and how to motivate the department as well. And I think that this interacts in a way and mingles with what Reem has suffered. Let's say, if she finds the motivation, she would be able to know how to ask a question. And plus, in motivation as well, dealing with students and with department, I'm not having one-to-one situation. I have one to a group, which also, let's say, lacks, because we have adversity, we have to accept them, we have to understand their interests, understand their words, and such things, how to motivate individual and any group as well. So this may, let's say, input my situation.
Thank you so much, Mazen, for sharing. I really like to highlight the points that we have here. We have students that did not ask for, were afraid to ask for help. They did not want to ask for help because they associated it with weakness. And then we also have the motivation part that Mazen has talked about. So a lot of the times as teachers, if a student is not participating, if a student is not submitting their work, we may think it's because they're careless. And I have to say I am guilty of that, you know, to my era before coaching. You know, and that's where the quote about accountability comes from. I felt that I needed structure. I felt if I wanted to be a good teacher, I have to have deadlines, I have to have structure. And, you know, I have to teach my students how to be accountable because I thought this is good for them. You know, they are responsible and I'm setting an example. And I think this is not in all the ways wrong, you know, but I think it could be approached from, you know, with your coaching hat on, you know, so understanding that a student is ashamed to ask me a question would break my heart, is scared to ask me a question would break my heart and would make me reevaluate, you know, the way I am dealing with my students. So opening my eyes to that fact through coaching, this is what academic coaching does. This is one thing or one of the points that academic coaching will empower the teachers to do. And by empowering the teachers to do that, you're empowering the student as well. So we want to focus and shed the light on the teachers, on the academic leaders, because we believe that if they all got their coaching hat on and became part of their delivery and part of their interaction with students and in academic and the colleagues in an academic setting, that's what will move things forward, and that's what will affect the students' empowerment and growth and confidence. So I'm very, you know, happy and excited with the examples that you shared, because it touched the heart of what we're going to talk about today, and academic coaching.
Thanks, Farah. Yes, when I read your quote, it speaks to me in a different, with a different accent, because I think of it, when I read it, the word boundaries comes up for me. This also talks to me about establishing healthy boundaries, whether it's boundaries as an educator between you and your students. You want to be approachable, but at the same time, you want to maintain a certain standard, which is perfectly within your rights, and you want to hold that student accountable because you want them to become responsible individuals who are hopefully going to go on to be lifelong learners. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Any other quotes that resonated with anybody in the group?
So back to you, Alia.
Yeah, actually Farah, from myself and كثير ناس لما was talking about academic coaching كانوا متسائلين what is academic coaching؟ إذا في هيك نحط تعريف شوي نوضح للعالم شو هو الكوتشنج الأكاديمي. would like كمان عندي فضول أعرف اللي خلاكم تصيروا مهتمين تكونوا academic coach.
شكرا عليا. طبعا الكوتشنج الأكاديمي هو ما له يعني الكوتشنج هو الكوتشنج، يعني ما له تعريف مختلف ولا بتبع معايير مختلفة. بنضلنا بنفس طريقة الكوتشنج، بنضلنا بنفس الكومبتنسيز تبعت الكوتشنج وال يعني المعايير والشروط اللي احنا لازم نتبعها عشان نقدم كوتشنج بالمستوى القيم والعالي. ولكن زي اي نوع ثاني الاكاديميك كوتشنج او الكوتشنج الاكاديمي هو في مجال الاكاديمية. طبعا كثير مهم انه نسلط الضوء هنا على اختلاف المفاهيم. يعني الكوتشنج الاكاديمي هو مش تدريس، هو مش تدريب ولا ارشاد اكاديمي زي ما سالتنا سهير. لكن احنا بنآمن انه ممكن يعني ان نستخدمه بجانب كل اللي حكيناها، الاشياء اللي حكيناها، التدريس، التدريب، الارشاد الاكاديمي، عشان يعني يعطينا البوش فورورد لزياده. فلما انا بدي اعطي كمدرسه، لما انا بدي اشرح ماده معينه، انا بامكاني اني اعطي الدرس تمام واشرحه واعطي المحاضره والمعلومات واطلب واجب واعمل اختبار. ولكن انا اذا اضفت الكوتشنج للبراكتس تبعي هذه كمدرسه، رح يقدر يفتح عيني اكثر على الستراجل، الانديفيدوال ستراجل تبع الطلاب والطالبات. رح يقدر يعطيني ممكن قراءة لأبعد من اللي أنا كنت بتطلع عليه على إنه إهمال مثلا أو تأخير أو عدم مبالاة. فكمدرسة أنا ممكن كمان أفهم أكثر إنه في طرق مختلفة كل طالب بيستوعب فيها المعلومة، في طرق مختلفة بيطبق فيها المعلومة. فأنا لما بدي أسمح للفضول يكون موجود، اللي هو أساس من أساسيات الكوتشنج، الكيوريوسيتي، لما أسمح لها تكون موجودة لما بشرح مادة معينة، تجربتي رح تختلف كتير من شخص يعني عنده بس أجندة معينة إنه يعطي درس معين ويكون يعني مباشر، خلص مني لإلك وذاتس إت. فالكوتشنج بالتدريس، لو أنا أخذت التدريس كإكزامبل يعني، ولا ممكن تطبيق الكوتشنج الأكاديمي في أكثر من مجال، بس في التدريس رح يعطي المحاضرة أو المادة المعينة نكهة مختلفة، تصور مختلف عند الطالب والمدرس، ونقدر ننتقل أبعد من الحدود الصف، غرفة الصف، لما ندخل الأكاديميك كوتشنج في التدريس مثلا. طبعا أنا حكيت example هنا على الكوتشنج الأكاديمي. إسلام, you wanna like maybe bring a different perspective in English?
So in English, what is academic coaching? Well, maybe I'll start off by what academic coaching is not. Okay, so it is not tutoring. It is not giving somebody private lessons. It is not guidance counseling or academic advising. Okay, and again, it's definitely not an intervention. Simply put, academic coaching is an opportunity to partner with your student that you're working with, and to work alongside them to help them meet their fullest potential. Like any coaching relationship where you would be working with a client to help them meet the goals that they set out for themselves, you would be doing the same thing, but through an academic lens. I can speak from my own personal experience. I work with kids who are, for example, failing physics. I never took physics in that grade level, so I can't help them anyways, even if I tried. However, after our time together through academic coaching, I can tell you that this one particular student raised their grade point average by 12% in that course. And it's not because the student, you know, I taught him some, you know, very special physics technique. No, it's because it was a very simple thing. It was the whole self-advocacy. We worked on that. He needed help. He needed clarification. He finally was able to start asking for that. And as a result, he was able to increase his grade. Now, even though his parents were very pleased with that, that didn't matter to me as much as that he felt successful. He felt empowered. He went on to run for school elections. And then after that, he went on to participate in team sports. And it just, for me, that feels good. So academic coaching is more than just, it's not just about the grades. Because again, we're hoping that the students would benefit with skills that will take them much further than what looks good on paper. We want them to be able to really put their best self forward and be able to live their best life. So in a nutshell, academic coaching is a partnership between you and your student, and you're just helping them meet the goals that they set out for themselves. You had your hand up, I think, earlier.
Yes, I actually wanted to ask a question following up what Farah shared and now what you've shared. Let's take the scenario that a teacher is implementing the academic coaching in a class. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a specific scenario?
Yeah.
How would it look like to give that individualized attention or care to the students?
Yeah, sure. So for example, when I'm teaching, I have a lesson plan for the day. You know, I know what chapter I'm gonna cover and so forth. So if a question comes up, you know, prior to coaching, and I have to be very honest here, I would be very nervous and stressed on finishing the sections that I wanted to finish. You know, there is an agenda, I need to go over it. There are certain concepts that I need to get done. After, you know, coaching and looking at things differently, I'm allowing for the curiosity and the questions that are not within the curriculum. So sometimes a question may come up, and, you know, a lot of you may be familiar with, as kids, you know, if you were in school and asked a question, and if it was not related, your teacher may have been like, ما له علاقة بالموضوع, or, you know, we can address that later, or it's not part of the lesson, you know. So I feel that as kids, you know, our nature is to be curious. What is that? Why is that? You know, and so forth. And what happens as we go to school, somehow this curiosity is killed, or as we, you know, we get older. So what this reminded me is I need to be curious, and I need to allow them to be curious. So if they're asking about, you know, a topic that I am explaining, but is not directly related to the lesson plan I have for the day, it's okay to play around with that a little bit, you know, to ask, to invite other students into the conversation, to go beyond the classroom and say, okay, well, how would you apply that in your daily life? Or how would you apply that in the profession you're interested in? How do you think I should apply it? You know, like, and play around with it a little bit. So allowing for curiosity and be excited about it. I think this is one thing that I have changed in the classroom, that I stopped being so uptight about presenting what I needed to present in that day. And it's really a push and pull. You're still a teacher at the end of the day. A curriculum must be done. But I think there is a flexibility that if we are willing as teacher to allow for, the students will be more interested. And you also are respecting their curiosity. You're respecting them as scientists, you know, in terms of chemistry. You know, so I'm saying it's okay to think that way. I respect your thought. I respect your idea. So that gives a message of confidence as well. But if I made a face and, you know, said, okay, that's out of the scope, that will hurt the confidence and the curiosity and everything about research that I'm trying to portray to them, which the basis of it is curiosity.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's very empowering. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Great question. I think Ihab had his hand up.
Yes.
Yes. Hi. This is a really exciting discussion about coaching. One of the questions I had was about the trends that you have seen. You've done a lot of coaching in the Middle East, the Gulf region. What do you see as some of the continuous trends you're seeing with students, mostly in the secondary school stage? So ones who are actually going into university. What do you see as trends in terms of the coaching requirements? And maybe you can give us an example for maybe a successful coaching that you've done previously. Thanks.
I think that's a really great question. And Farah, can I go ahead and address this? Okay. All right. So I'm speaking to this personally because I'm a mom of 2 teenagers in high school. So I can go on. We can have a whole other webinar just about this if you want to. Let me know. Okay. But for today, let me focus. I believe, and I hate this word, and I'm going to say it again. I already said it once, and I promised myself I will only use this word once today, but it's going to be twice. Since the pandemic, I believe that the trend now is, helping these high schoolers, again, feel motivated, become self-motivated. Coping with stress is a big thing as well. A lot of our kids now have developed different forms of anxiety, and it shows up in different ways. And this feeling of uncertainty that we're coaching around. I find that I'm coaching around where kids before might have had, and this was also rare pre-pandemic for kids in that age group to have a solid idea of what they want to do. They might have had a solid idea of what their parents wanted for them. But now I feel like we're coaching around a lot of confusion, but that's not a bad thing, because remember, we're coaches, we're all about perspective and challenging perspectives. So we challenge these students to actually see this as an opportunity to figure out what they want and look within themselves. So that's a huge trend, that you are actually coming up with a generation of kids who are hopefully going to be very strong. They're going to be stronger than us because they learned how to cope. They learned how to pivot. They know that, just look at us today as coaches. A lot of us transitioned into coaching from other career paths. I don't think any of us, when we were age 9 or 10 and somebody said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we said, oh yeah, we want to be coaches. Because I don't think we knew that. We transitioned, we transformed, we became coaches along our journeys, along our paths. And we took a lot of learning. It took us a lot of learning and self-awareness to get here. I think this new generation, because of everything they've seen, hopefully they will become a lot more self-aware when they have that opportunity to look within. I don't know if that answered your question, but now you got me started, so I'm so sorry about that. Okay.
No, that was the perfect answer, actually. It's great because we're in the same kind of zone, because I'm also involved in educational academic counseling and tutoring. And as you say, there's a lot of people who they have the actual capability, but it's a mindset, and it's actually giving them the confidence and giving them the future goal, the actual end goal, to say, listen, you can get into Harvard or Cambridge or Oxford. It's more about your target, your end goal, and really helping them along the way and setting their goals and targets. So yeah, thank you.
Harvard and Cambridge and Oxford are no longer enough.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's a very heavy statement, and I stand by it. It is not enough. We meet people like that where on paper they're super qualified and amazing. However, you don't want them alongside you when the world is ending, like we saw in the pandemic. We need people who are resilient. So these are the skills that we can teach these kids to help them sort of become even better and stronger. So feel free to reach out to us. I'd love to continue the conversation with you.
Yes, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I see Roa, I see Rasha as well.
Rasha, تفضلي.
السلام عليكم. If you allow me, I will talk in Arabic. It's okay? Just to express myself more. هو يمكن أنا كان الكومنت بتاعي على كلام كوتش إيهاب أو مستر إيهاب إنه فعلا there is a gap. أنا I saw it by myself في المرحلة الثانوي مع الطلبة، لأنه أنا I'm working now on my ACC credentials. في نفس الوقت أخذت كارير كوتش، وكنت محتاجة إن أنا أعمل تريننج مع السن ده، والسن ده فعلا ما عندهمش يعني they know إن هم لازم يدخلوا الجامعة، they know إن هم لازم ياخدوا شهادة معينة، متأثرين جدا بقرارات الأب والأم، ومتأثرين جدا بالسوشيال ميديا وبالسكسس successful people الموجودين في السوشيال ميديا، بس ما فيش قرارات محددة عندهم هو عايز يدرس ايه وايه الكارير بتاعه for the future. ف I think انه ده في جاب في الحتة دي جامدة جدا جدا. I saw it في مصر لان انا قاعدة دلوقتي في مصر، و I think it will be the same في السعودية. لان حتى لما سألت قالوا لي انه السيرفيس دي مش موجودة كتير في المدارس، just few schools اللي ممكن تقدم kind of career coaching او coaching للستودنتس السكندري اللي هم في السكندري ليفل، وبقيه المدارس ما فيش، بيبقى في تخبط ما بين التيتشرز والاباء والامهات، وما بين قرار الولاد بناء على السوشيال ميديا واللي هم شايفينه وكلام صحابهم والكلام ده كله. فاي ثينك as coaching it will be very helpful للولاد في السن ده. Thank you.
Thank you رشا. أكيد هي نقطة جرت at me لما أنت حكيتي اللي هو الكوتشنج في الإرشاد الأكاديمي والكوتشنج في الكارير كونسلنج. هلا طبعا there are totally different things. تمام. الكوتشنج allows for career counseling and academic advising to be customized. وهذا الإشي اللي إحنا فاقدينه، لأنه لما بنكون في المدارس وبدنا نعبي طلبات للجامعات بنمشي على تشيك ليست، عبيت هذا الطلب، خلصت هذا النموذج وما إلى ذلك. تمام. It's a checklist، قديش درجاتك، قديش معدلك، وكل هاي الأمور. لكن اللي بنفتقده هو conversation around that، لأنه ممكن أنا بقدر أعمل exploration أكثر لإيش بده الطالب. طيب بدك تصير دكتور مثلا أو مهندس، طيب ليش؟ إيش يعني what do you want to do with that؟ يعني what's your passion behind that؟ تمام. يعني to explore a little bit more about their motives of what they want to study. تمام. فهذا we are missing that in the conversation of the career counseling. In also academic advising, we have students coming in, they want to register. Okay, what works for your schedule? What works for your schedule? I mean, like this question is so detached from their interest, from how they want to go about their day, from, are they morning people or, night people? Are they working part-time jobs? يعني في conversation we are missing in the academic advising and the career counseling that I think academic coaching can bridge that gap to do so.
Yes, thank you Farah. Thanks.
في عنا رؤى في عندك سؤال؟
السلام عليكم، أهلا وسهلا. لا والله أنا ما عندي سؤال، عندي مداخلة. إذا ممكن. أنا اشتغلت تقريبا 9 سنوات في المجال الأكاديمي بتخصصي كيمياء، درست المرحلة الثانوية، وفي نفس الوقت تقريبا ل4 سنوات كنت أدرب الموهوبين في السمر كامبس حقت مؤسسة الملك عبد العزيز ورجاله للموهبة والإبداع، اللي هم
عم بتقطع.
Okay, can you hear me now?
نعم تفضلي.
Okay. التعليم بشكل عام توجه مشابه للكوتشنج، يعني أن وقتها في السنوات الأخيرة قبل أن تركت التعليم تقريبا من 4 سنوات وتوجهت للكوتشنج. وقتها ما كنت كوتش، بس لما دخلت الكوتشنج اكتشفت إنه التعليم فعليا متوجه توجه اللي هو مختلف تماما عن التلقين، لكن طبعا ما حنلقى لا زال حنلقى الباترن حق الناس اللي تقاوم التغيير او اللي ما هي عارفه تواكب التغيير او غيره. كمان لما اقارن لما كنت ادرس المناهج العاديه ولما كنت ادرب الموهوبين، حلقه كمان تدريب الموهوبين متجه تقريبا باتجاه الكوتشنج اكثر، فكنا نطرح الاسئله المفتوحه، ما كنا we never say right or wrong, we let them invent their own way by only asking the right questions to them. هو متجه في هذا الاتجاه والحمد لله. البارت اللي كنتوا تتكلموا عنه عن انه التلميذ يخاف انه هو يسأل سؤال، so if the student is afraid to ask a question, how will the other act if it's the teacher or the other students, or people will decide that I'm stupid or like that. I think يعني it depends on the teacher. You give them this trust, you give them the open way, you give them the idea that even I as a teacher, I learn from your question. So this is what I was doing with my students. So every question the students come with, it's an opportunity for me to learn. And I always would emphasize on even me as a teacher, I don't have the complete knowledge. Nobody has it. So if you ask me a question that I already know, I will answer you, or maybe I will ask you some questions so you will come to this result by yourself. Or if I don't know the answer, I will tell you, oh, that's a good question. I really don't know the answer. Let's look for it together. And I will not ignore it the next day. I will come back to it and we will discuss it again. Maybe we can find an answer, so we will discuss here and there until we come to a conclusion together. So I think it depends on the teacher. And I can see differences between teachers, even in my colleagues at that time. Some of them will make the students really afraid to ask, and some of them will make an open door for them. You can find these people and you can find these people. But what I wanted to talk about is education has come a long way in changing now. It depends a lot on the students more than the teacher, but as you said, there is a curriculum that has to be done, so you need to balance those two. And the curriculum is something, and the paperwork is something that is a big pressure to the teacher. So I used to find the big difference between training in Mawhiba or coaching in Mawhiba. I would call it coaching because it's really similar to coaching. And between educating. I think in coaching, they only give us the curriculum, but they don't give us a certain way to do that, to implement that. So I can use whatever way I want to do. So I think if from 4 years from now, when I left education, I think it would be improved more. About the time of the pandemic, I think it's a new thing to everyone, even for the teachers, even for the ministry itself. So it's a new thing to cope with. And it was a big pressure for everyone. I hope it will give us a positive change in our lives and in our students also. And it was a big push for the teachers who didn't want to learn let's say computers and online teaching. I've been doing online teaching maybe since 2012. I was doing that with my students, but a lot of teachers didn't want to do that because it's يعني ما كان شيء مطلوب. لكن sometimes pressure force you into learning new things. So I hope it's a new dawn now. Thank you very much.
يعطيك العافية رؤى، شكرا لمداخلتك.
فرح أنا حابة أنتقل لسؤال صراحة، بما أنك أنت نوهتي عن موضوع القادة الأكاديميين. ليش ركزتوا على الأكاديميك ليدرز أو القادة الأكاديميين؟
لأنه كتير في برامج موجهة للطلاب والطالبات، فبالتالي إحنا بدنا نبدأ من أعلى الهرم، يعني بدنا نبدأ بالقادة من ناحية مدراء المدارس، مديرات المدارس، العمداء، رؤساء الجامعات، رؤساء الأقسام. لما إحنا بنوحد مفهوم الكوتشنج واستخدامه من الأعلى إلى الأسفل بيصير سهل علينا إنه نأثر على الطلاب. لكن إحنا لما نبدأ نعطي الكوتشنج أو يعني تكون تارجتد عندنا الستودنتس في البداية، فإحنا بيصير عندنا الجاب وبتتكرر وجود هاي الجاب. فإحنا لازم تكون هي فيجن للأكاديميك انستتيوشن اللي هو integrating coaching من الأعلى إلى الأسفل. فلهذا السبب أهمية يعني إنه targeting الأكاديميك leaders هي بالنسبة أو في منظورنا إحنا هي خطوة أولى، ليست أهم ولكنها خطوة أولى لحتى ما نقدر إن نمكن الطلاب والطالبات من مهارات الكوتشنج ونساعدهم على إنهم يوصلوا للإشي اللي هم بدهم يوصلوا له بأفضل طريقة ممكنة. لازم نبدأ بالأشخاص اللي بيقابلوهم طول اليوم وبيتعاملوا معهم طول اليوم وبيعتبروا قدوة، يعني إحنا قدوة الأكاديميك ليدرز للطلاب والطالبات. فعلى هذا الأساس بدأنا بالأكاديميك ليدرز.
Great. So once academic leaders are equipped with coaching skills, how would a coaching session look like?
Islam?
Okay, well, I think I didn't anticipate that we would be spending this much time talking about academic coaching. So let's address this, and if there's another question, and then we can move on to its role and its importance. Actually, I think that question is perfect to transition into the role of academic coaching. Wouldn't you say, Farah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So could you maybe repeat the question, please?
I will. So once academic leaders are equipped with coaching skills, how would a coaching session look like?
Well, if I'm an I'm an academic leader, and for example, Farah is a professor, right? And she's also a coach. So maybe she can speak to that from a different perspective than I can, because when I left teaching and transitioned into coaching, I only do academic coaching. I no longer teach. I mean, the only teaching I do is training and facilitating, but it's not the same. So Farah, maybe you can speak from your experience, because my experience is limited to only as a coach, and I'd be happy to share that as well.
Sure, absolutely. So once you have the academic leader equipped with the coaching skills, you will have different categories. So you may have a department head that will apply the coaching skills in a department meeting, you know, by listening, by understanding the roadblocks and obstacles of their team as a whole. You know, what are they finding it hard or challenging as a team? But also that academic, you know, department head could have one-on-one sessions. Like, for example, a perfect opportunity would be the evaluation session. So if you meet with your boss to go over your evaluation, your yearly evaluation, at that point you will, instead of them reading your numbers, okay, you got 50 in research, you got you know, 40 in your student evaluation, and you know, you got 90 in your community service, for example. Instead of reading that out and maybe making them feel that they have some deficiency in some area, explore each of these points with them. So as a boss, you're not there only to only hold them accountable, but also help them be accountable, and help them overcome any obstacles that come in their way. So it could be a group session where you're talking to a team in a meeting, for example, or it could be a one-on-one time that is private. They could come to you with a problem, and then you can use the coaching session or coaching skills that you're trying to apply. So we don't have to call it a coaching session. You know, I am now going to do with you a coaching session. No, you apply it naturally. When you have those skills, you can deal with conflict, you can deal with some limitation or deficiencies, you know, from your team. You could motivate, you could inspire, you know, it depends on what the situation is. It could be in academic advising setting where you explore further, you know, what is the issue that the students are facing, or help them find their passion or who they are, you know, as much as the times allow, and as much as there is, you know, whatever the issue is at that point. It could be in a classroom, like we gave an example. So it varies, it really varies, but it could be in a group setting or it could be one-on-one setting. And it does not have to be labeled as a coaching session. It could just naturally happen.
Thank you, Farah, for answering that question, because again, my experience is completely different.
Islam, Farah, there's a couple of questions I would like to bring forward from some of our colleagues here. So first of all, can you maybe let everyone know where we can find any information on like programs where someone can become trained or certified in academic coaching? I mean, what would be the best route to go to find ways to get officially trained?
The ICF website, the TPSS portal, I think would be the best and most efficient way.
Okay, great. And that would just as a follow-up, that would also, those programs would probably allow or provide information on formal, informal practices on academic coaching as well, I guess part of the training, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you would search for this kind of coach training the same way you would look for any other coach training, and you would do your own research and see where you'd like to go and take it from there.
Perfect. And I noticed for everyone else's benefit, Alia just posted the link to finding a training program. So there we go.
Good.
That's good. We're going to have more colleagues, Farah. We won't be so alone anymore.
Yeah, that would be great. I do want just to translate in Arabic what we just discussed. So أي شخص بدور على برامج للكوتشنج في مجال الأكاديمية تقدروا تروحوا على ال ICF ويب سايت اللي حطيت لكم إياه كوتش عليا في الشات. في برامج كلها المعتمدة من ال ICF موجودة هناك، وممكن إنكم يعني تشوفوا عن البرنامج وعن إيش بتحدث، وبالتالي تشوفوا إذا مناسب لكم.
So should we move on to the importance of coaching in academia?
Yeah. Sure.
Or do we have any questions?
Yeah, if we have any questions, or that would be a good place.
Just another quick one. This might, I mean, we can talk about it at the end as well, but just as a reminder, how those people that are interested in staying in touch with the two of you or kind of continuing the connection, will there be some sort of a mechanism at the end maybe that we can keep this community going?
We can
so they can stay in touch, talk about academic coaching.
You mean like provide contact info where they can reach us, or?
Okay.
Yeah, we can definitely do that at the end.
Yeah. We would welcome that as well.
تمام. في سؤال. Academic coaching should become a lifestyle, exactly, in any academic situation rather than when need arise. Absolutely, مازن. نعم. يعني إحنا hopefully coaching in general, not only academic coaching, بيكون lifestyle. بس إذا إحنا كنا في academic setting, definitely we have our coaching hat on وبنتعامل مع المواضيع بطريقة الcoaching. طبعا it's very hard to do, but it's good. يعني it's a good thing to try, absolutely. Okay, academic coaching in your point of view through the role of the teacher or the social advisor. All of them, Dr. Wafa. All of them. يعني you can, in any academic role, you can apply academic coaching, because again, it's not counseling. So we don't have to send it to the social worker or the counselor. You know, but that's a really good question, because it is not therapy. You know, coaching is not therapy. So if you notice that a student that you're working with have difficulties that coaching is not able to help with, as coaches were not equipped to help with, then that's when your student should be recommended to see a professional that would help them in their issues. Some people have difficulties in learning. Some people have disabilities. Some people have, different types of challenges. So coaching focuses on the present and the future. If it's nothing to do with that and it needs a specific professional help, that's when you refer them. So we don't want to mix the two together.
We're bound by the same ICF code of ethics as every other coach. So it applies all across niches. Okay.
All right. What other questions you have for us?
There is a comment from Ali.
Sure.
Yeah, great forum, students as coaches concept. What do you think about, yes, the question. What do you think about students as coaches so that outstanding students who are going very well be involved, doing very well, will be involved in coaching other students so that they pass on their skills and inspire others?
Amazing. What a great idea. I think it's very beneficial. إنه الطلاب to acquire coaching skills, مهارات الكوتشنج ويعملوا coaching لطلاب آخرين. ممتاز، فكرة رائعة. يعني تمام.
Thank you. You want to move to the importance of coaching?
Yeah, I think so.
So what would change if coaching was brought to academia?
What would change? Okay. Well, I mean, it's that adage that we all heard about growing up, you know, when you teach, when you give a man a fish, he eats for a day, but when you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. I believe that this holds true in academic coaching. When you teach the student not just what to learn, but how to learn, they go on to become lifelong learners. They get to see themselves in their own strengths. It just changes their perspective on everything going forward. And I want to challenge this question with another question, and you don't have to answer this, you just have to reflect. Imagine you had an academic coach growing up. Where would you be today? How would your life look? Would it be any different?
I think I like to stay with this question for a little bit. لو كان عندكم academic coach خلال فترة الدراسة، إيش كان ممكن يتغير بالنسبة لكم؟ If you have an academic coach while you're learning, what would have been different or changed? For me, I may have not been a teacher. I would have been in a total different profession. That would be for me.
For me, I'm going to be vulnerable and share that I might not let my inner critic be so loud all the time. I would know how to control that much better.
أنا هذا السؤال لمسني كثير فرح وإسلام، لأنه I truly thought about it. لو عن جد كان في بحياتي كان في كثير يعني أكيد I would stay a coach. By the way, I'm a therapist and this is my aim. بس كان ممكن to get over أشياء كثير أنا على من ناحية mental health to get over صعوبات يمكن، وما أكره مواد معينة بسبب teacher معين، واطلع بالاخر ناجحه بالموضوع بس بسبب تصرفاته. فكان حيعمل تغيير كبير definitely. اولا الempowering والself confidence والself worth.
And I may interrupt in something. We may have met some coaches in our lives earlier, though they don't know that they are coaching, but they sometimes just guide us or lead us in a way or another. We have some people like this, and we have, and I can give an example, my parents, where now I can modify them as coaches, but to have the title coaches was not there. Of course, we have mentors, as Dr. Wafa has mentioned now, but sometimes coaches may be there, but they don't know that they are coaching. This is the interruption.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much for your point. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes they need gratitude. Now I can say that I have to go back to them and thank them for what they did in sometimes. Hope I can see them. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mazen, for sharing. Alan's comment caught my eye because as a teacher, we struggle with that. If I had an academic coach, I would have probably focused more on learning and less on grades. And can't be more true. And what I learned to do with my students is to ask them on the very first day of class, what are they going to do with my class?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I want them to bring the importance of what they're learning in the class to their life. If they tell me it's all about grades, that will be a whole different discussion, but bringing the focus on what they want to do with my class, which is one class out of their whole university journey, would bring also the importance and the value to the course, because now they're thinking about how they can benefit from it, how they can apply the information in it. So it's definitely shifting that perspective from what can we do with this knowledge, why are we taking this knowledge, how we can apply it, versus what do I need to do to get the A. It's very important, and I think it's the role of every teacher to communicate that to the students, and the emphasis should be in the learning more so than on the grades. Another thing I really would love to share is about if I had an academic coach growing up. I think one thing I would add to what I said previously is I wouldn't be so attached to the structure, you know, and the expectation of the route that I'm in. So you finish one stage and you go to the next stage, and that's what expected of you, and that's what you need to do in a certain route. I would have navigated what I wanted more, and what I still love teaching, but I could have done things differently, and that was what I would have done if I had an academic coach. That's a good question, Islam.
So we talked a little bit about what academic coaching is and isn't. We talked about its role, we touched on its importance, but how do you feel about having the next, portion of our time together as an open discussion where you tell us, what do you think the impact of coaching is in academia? Let's just, I'm going to just stop sharing, if that's okay, and we can have a discussion, because I know we all have opinions and thoughts and feelings around them.
And think of impact on a broader scale, immediate, future, small, big.
Think of a certain population, student population, whether they're in university or in high school, and think about if this population or demographic was to receive academic coaching, what impact, what would that look like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? What would the world look like? Saad, go ahead.
حقيقة كان thank you very much. It's really a very inspiring session. اللي قاعدة أفكر فيه الآن إنه كيف نقدر نعطي هذه المساحة وتكون well structured، لأنه يكون موجود هذا العالم، هذا what we call it the academic coaching. الآن وإحنا بنتكلم لسه الآن حسيت شوية إننا sometimes نتكلم على very basic concepts, not necessarily related to coaching. Some tips we shared related to positive discipline, some to active education and learning. سؤال زي ليش الستودنتس أنت إيش هدفك من الكلاس هذا، أو تبغى تخرج بإيش، أو هذه this kind of questions يمكن تكون generic أو common في a lot of areas. أنا مثلا ابني لما يجيب لي التقرير الدراسي حقه، أول سؤال أسأله هو أنت إيش رأيك؟ إيش تبغى تسوي؟ فأنت تبغى تاخذ هذه الحين لفين in the future. but ما بسويها out of being a coach، بسويها out of being a mom. فكرة الامباورمنت موجودة في العالم الآن وتقوى في أماكن عدة، سواء في الإديوكيشن أو في البيرنتينج والديسيبلين، لكن التركيز على فكرة الأكاديميك كوتشنج. متى أقول إنه هذا الستودنت الآن يحتاج كوتش كرول واضح وويل ستراكتشرد ومستقل، بعيدا عن كوني a teacher, a coach teacher أو a teacher coach, I don't know what to call it يعني. وكيف يكون فعلا موجود هذا الرول بكونسبت واضح نظيف من كل المسكونسبشنز عن الكوتشنج، وكيف نقدر how we can protect هذه الاريا بالكونسبت الصحيح حقها، ويكون موجود فعلا، لانه احنا نحتاج هذا الدور حقيقي، نحتاجه في العالم الاكاديمي، مش بس في الاندر جراد، لا حتى في البوست جراد. فهذا اللي قاعدة أفكر فيه، إنه كيف نوصل لهذا المكان، كيف نزرع هذه الثقافة، من فين تبدأ الخطوة؟ هل هو التعليم؟ هل هو الكوتشنج مثلا؟ فيدريشن. هذا صراحة اللي كان بيدور في بالي وحبيت أشاركه.
سعاد، سؤالك كتير حلو وفيه كتير layers. حبيت بس أشاركك ببعض النقاط. أول إشي the questions of coaching مو شرط تكون complicated. They are simple questions. فهذا يعني بداية، يعني حتى أنت يعني لما نبلش إحنا في coaching session إحنا بنسألهم عن التوبيك، نسألهم عن الvalue of يعني the topic، نسألهم عن importance، كيف ممكن إنه هذا to affect يعني if you worked it out how would it affect you know your life or whatever they're going through. It's not about complicated questions right off or deep questions right off. It's about قديش انت connected، قديش انت listening، قديش انت curious. And sometimes the most powerful questions are the simplest one. لأنه بيكون الواحد by default عم بمشي بالmotions, and sometimes you need to ask a question to let them pause and think. And sometimes that question could be as simple as يعني what happened if you don't? like يعني as simple as that. Yeah. فهذا يعني حبيت بس to bring this point to light. The other thing, what you're trying to do.
Allow me. I don't mean complexity when I say it's simple question. I totally agree with you 100%. It should be simple questions, but well structured and mindful questions. This is maybe what
coaching is not. That's what I feel that there you need structure, and I understand that, but with coaching is not something that is, I mean, there are coaching models, there are coaching competencies, but you can box it in a strategy or a curriculum or something that you want to go through the motions with, and that's what makes it more fluid and adaptable in every situation. Now, there are two things happening here. You can have a conversation that are not planned for, that you can use your coaching skills, and that is totally fine. And you also can develop a program where you have certain, models or certain theories or certain applications, tools that you'd like to equip your academic leaders with and your students with, and that's totally fine. You can put a time frame. You can focus on certain skills. You can let them go through the program. So if you want something structured like that, then by all means, there are programs that you can create to do just that. But sometimes these coaching conversations, when you have a one-on-one session, like in academic advising session or in a classroom, are not going to be well structured. And sometimes they're going to jump at you out of nowhere. And we're advocate of both. In academic setting, you can do both. So it really depends on what your goal is and what you want to do. I don't know if I answered your question, but this is what came at me when you shared.
Yes, sure. I totally agree with you, and you perfectly answered my question. It's just not يعني مش اللي بحاول أقوله إنه لازم الكوتشنج يكون structured. اللي بحاول أقوله إنه when we need this kind of structured coaching and academic coaching, I think we don't have it until now. We don't have this stage till now in our schools and in our academic institutes.
But we will. That's our hope.
Of course, for the first part.
Our hope is to have And yes, the structure of actually having this as a formal program where students can, you know, receive this kind of support and guidance, that would be amazing. We invite you as coaches to reach out to your own institutions and do this if you know, if you'd like to. Please put the word out there. Thank you. I think Sarah had her hand up.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, hi everybody. I think we've come a long way since the question was asked regarding what would it look like if coaching was applied in schools and what would it mean for our students. One of the main reasons why I have started to segue from education into coaching is because I found a lot of similarities in my style of teaching, which I will be very honest, I received a lot of flack for in some institutes. But I got a lot of recognition from my students. And when I say I got a lot of recognition, is because I was not teaching them. I was creating, my main goal has always been to create safe spaces where expression is allowed and where curiosity is given. You know, I would temper their curiosity, and this gave them a chance to develop themselves into what they think would work. And the reason why I got flack for this from administrators is because I created my own system of assessment. So for people who are educators, who are or who have been in the business before, you would understand what that means. But 10 years on, I still have my students. And then whatever I did with them in that classroom worked for them because I was not teaching, I was creating safe spaces. I was asking questions that allowed them to discover answers and learn things the way they want to learn. And so, yeah, so, I mean, I don't have to imagine what it could look like because I have experienced it. And I still do because I still get messages from my students that graduated high school and university years ago, and they still get back to me and they tell me how what I said to them or the spaces I created for them 10 years ago or 12 years ago, what has done for them so far.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
What has that done for you?
For me, I think it is. It made me the kind of educator that I would have wanted to be. And during my process or during my training as a coach, I discovered that I was lucky enough to have a father who, without realizing, I think he never even heard of coaching, but he coached us all along. We were never told what to do, but it was always about like, okay, how is this going to really help you? And we were left with that question, of course, at a very, very young age, you know, at preschool, we were asked those questions. So you can imagine like growing up with that and knowing that I always was in conflict with the way I was taught at school. And there was a point in my life when I did come home and tell my mother that, you know what, this is not going to work for me. I will pass, but don't expect much. So yeah, that's what it did.
So the impact is not just on the students, but it also gives back to the educators that were involved with these students as well. And maybe parents as coaches. I mean, academic coaching, these skills could be employed in all areas that touch a student's life. Minute left.
يا فرح and Islam, I'll be sharing the poll بس إذا ممكن بس تشاركونا رأيكم to fill this poll. Thank you. So Farah and Islam, anything you want to add before we close? Or?
Just want to thank everybody for their time and their attention and their engagement. And to those who shared their own personal reflections, thank you very much for being vulnerable. We hope that we did our part in trying to increase awareness for the need of coaching in this area. And we hope to one day cross paths again, where we are actually continuing this message in our region. Farah?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for interacting. It was a really dynamic session, and we thank you for that. And for the Saudi chapter for inviting us and supporting us in this. Thank you so much.
Farah or Islam, thank you so much on a personal level. وكمان أتمنى عملتكم كمان البورد بصراحة كان كثير interesting، وغصب عني جاني شعور بالغبطة تجاه الجيل الجديد اللي والبنفت من الأكاديمي كوتشنج، لأنه truly I wish لو بيوم من الأيام كان عندي هاي الأوبشن. شكرا لحضوركم، شكرا لكل الحضور ولكل المشاركين، ويعطيكم ألف عافية.
Thank you.
Yes, Farah and Islam, I also want to thank you. Excellent presentation, really informative. I think we all learned a tremendous amount from you, and thank you again for sharing your expertise.
And then
Thank you. Thank you, Alan, for joining.
yes, so nice to see you, Alan.
It's always good to see you all. How could I miss it?